Hey there guys, welcome to the video. My name is Pushpender Gill, and in this video we're going to be talking about perfect competition, right? So suppose you've already watched the previous videos of cost, revenues and profit, and this what we're going to do is we're going to actually carry forward those curves of marginal cost, average cost and all those costs from the chapter of cost, revenues and profit, and we're going to use it in perfect competition. So what exactly is perfect competition? It's actually a theoretical model, right? So it's actually a model which it's theoretical, right? And it's actually used to explain. It's used to explain how do firms operate. So how do firms operate, right? Under various assumptions. So what we're going to do is the assumptions for perfect competition are quite strict, which is why it's actually a theoretical model. So what we're going to do is we're going to understand perfect competition, and later on we're going to relax those assumptions and then find out how do firms behave in the real world. Now let's go ahead and define the assumptions of this model, that is assumptions of perfect competition. So if I were to define the assumptions of this perfect competition, now how will I do that? Now the first assumption is that the industry is made up of very large number of firms. So the first assumption is that the industry is made up of a large number of firms. So there is not a single firm or two firms or three firms in the market. There are very large number of firms. So indirectly it means that a firm going out or a firm joining does not actually put a lot of effect in the industry. The second one is that the size of each firm is small. So the size of each firm, again, the size of each firm is so small that uh, if a firm alters its output, that does not affect the industry as a whole. So size of the firm is so small that if a firm decides to alter its output, so a firm alters its output, that will actually not put any effect on the industry's output overall, right? So that means basically it means that a firm cannot affect, the supply curve of the industry, right? So the firm cannot affect the supply curve of the industry. So that is actually very, very important. And this is one of the assumptions of perfect competition. That means if a firm cannot affect the supply curve of an industry, that means the firm will have to sell the price at whatever the price is actually there in the industry. So firm actually cannot set its own price here, just the way we have been doing in the previous videos. A firm actually has that liberty to set its own price, but over here it doesn't have that liberty. The next assumption is that the product of the industry is completely homogeneous, right? So the product is homogeneous. That actually means that the products are identical. That means a consumer or a customer will not be able to make out that this product belongs to which firm, which means there is no marketing, which means there is no attempt in by the firms in trying to distinguish their product from different firms, right? So that is one of the assumptions of the perfect competition. The next assumption is, that is the fourth assumption, that is the firms are free. So the firms are free to join or leave the industry, right? So that is the next assumption of perfect competition, that the firms are completely free, or they're completely free to join or leave the industry. That means that the firms which are already in the industry do not have the ability to stop the new firms of joining, and or stop someone else to leave the industry, right? So they're completely free to join or leave the industry. Well, that is something that doesn't happen usually, because there are a lot of barriers to joining an industry, and there are a lot of costs of leaving the industry as well. So But however, what we're going to do is in this we can actually assume that that firms are free to join or leave the industry as they wish. So there are no barriers to exit and no barriers to entry. And the last assumption is that all the producers in the industry and the consumers in the industry have perfect knowledge, right? So they have perfect knowledge. So when I say perfect knowledge, that means all the consumers and the and the producers, they're fully aware of the market prices. They're fully aware of the market prices. They're fully aware of the costs, right? And the workings of the market, right? So the consumers actually know that what is the price of the market, what is the quality of the market, what is the availability of goods, and so on. So which is why this is actually purely a theoretical model, because these assumptions are rarely, are something which rarely happen in the real world. Even though there are some examples of some industries which are close to perfect competition, one of the examples would be the agricultural industry, right? So in the agriculture industry, the product is homogeneous, the product is identical. The size of the firm is actually very small because of the small farmers. There are so many farmers, around in the agriculture industry. Farmers are free to join or leave the industry, and this is something which is not everywhere, that all the firms have perfect knowledge, right? So agriculture is a close to perfect competition market, right? So that is there. But now let's completely put our focus on some different things of perfect competition. So let's go ahead and define the demand curve of the industry. So let's go ahead and define the demand curve of the industry in perfect competition. So let's suppose if I say that I'm talking about the industry here, right? This is about the industry. This over here is the price, and this over here is the quantity. Now, what happens is that this is the supply curve of the industry, right? Which actually never changes. And this is the demand curve. Now, demand is something, the output that you plan to produce. Now, what is the output that the firm will be producing, and what is the price that the firm will actually be taking over? So let's suppose this is the price again, and this is the quantity that they produce. Now, whatever demand is there in the market, now the price is actually determined by the demand in the market. So this is going to be the price of the firm at which they are actually going to sell. So price is something that is beyond the control of a firm under perfect competition. So this is the price that they're going to sell at, and this is the quantity that they're going to produce. Fine. So what happens here, the firms under perfect competition are actually known as the price takers. So they're known as the price takers because they're the one who do not decide the price. They just accept the price that has been given to them by the industry. So this is the price that actually they can expect, and this is going to be their average or marginal revenue. Now, if I were to, explore this graph, and if I were to talk about the profit maximization, so when will a firm will actually be maximizing its profit? Now, if you've seen the cost, revenue, and profit video, you would know that profit is maximized when marginal cost is actually equal to the marginal revenue. That is the point when the profit is maximized. Now, if I were to draw the previous graph again, this is the demand curve, this is the supply curve, and this is price again, and this is quantity again, and this is the price. That means this is the average revenue equal to the marginal revenue. So if I draw the marginal cost curve, which looks something like this, so that means this is the quantity at which the firm should produce to get maximum possible profit, because at this point marginal cost is actually equal to the marginal revenue. Fine. So at this point, the firm for the firm has maximum possible profit. Now, price is something, or marginal revenue and average revenue is something that the firm cannot actually alter, right? So this is something which is beyond their control. So based on its marginal cost, we'll be able to say that the profit would be maximized. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the possible scenarios in perfect competition. Now, the first scenario that I like to talk about is for a firm is about short-run abnormal profits. Now, how do these firms make short-run abnormal profits? Now, if you've seen the previous video on margin, on cost, revenue, and profit, you would know that the costs are actually defined by the average cost curve, and the price is actually defined by the average revenue curve. Now, as you know, that the price is something which is set by the industry demand and supply curve. So this is going to be the price for the firm, right? So this is going to be the price for the firm at which they're going to sell, something that is beyond their control, right? Now, let's suppose this is the marginal cost, right? And again, average cost is something which can actually alter, something that you must have encountered in the previous videos. Now, this is the quantity that you're going to produce, right? What if I say the average cost is something like this? This is the lowest point. Average cost is something like this. So that this point where average cost curve and the quantity line meets, this is going to be the cost at which the firm is going to produce the products, or produce the products. Then this area over here would actually be the abnormal profit for your firm under perfect competition. It's pretty much similar to the graph that we've actually drawn in the cost, revenue, and the profit video. However, just understand one thing, that the average revenue curve and the marginal revenue curve, this line is actually given by the industry demand and supply curve, right? So this is what is the scenario of short run average profit. So short run abnormal profits. Now let's talk about another scenario which is actually covering the short run losses. Now again, everything remains the same. If this is the industry demand curve and the supply curve, so this is the demand curve and the supply curve, price, quantity, and same thing here, quantity, price, and this is going to be my average revenue and the marginal revenue curve, and this is going to be my marginal cost curve. Now this is the quantity that I'm producing, and this is the price at which I'm selling. However, if the average cost curve is quite high, the costs are quite high, then this is going to be the cost. And if this is going to be the cost, then this area over here would actually represent the losses. Fine. So I suppose you're understanding this point over here. So the loss that the company makes is actually equal to C minus B. That is the cost minus the price at which it's selling. Now this is something that happens in short run. Everything that is something that happens in short run. Well, let's talk about what happens in long run, right? So what happens when you get short run abnormal profits? So what happens when you get short run abnormal profits? And how does this transform into the long run? Well, let's draw the same scenario over again. Now what happens is, you have the demand, you have the supply, and this is the price at which the firm is actually selling the price. So this is the average revenue is equal to the marginal revenue. And the firm, what is it doing is, it's actually, this is the marginal cost and this is the average cost. So this is the price and this is the cost, and these are the abnormal profits. Now, since few firms in that perfect competition are enjoying abnormal profits, now what will happen is, this will actually give incentive for new firms to join. So this will actually give incentives for the new firms to join. Now, when new firms join into the market, what happens is actually the supply of these firms of the product increases. So what happens is, the supply of these products increase, and they actually keep on increasing till the cost is actually equal to profit, and the cost curve, the supply curve shifts to the right, and this is the new supply curve of the industry. So what has happened is, the supply curve has actually shifted to the right because new firms have joined, hence the supply has increased, and it is going to increase till the price is equal to cost, till the firm starts making normal profits. What do you mean by normal profits in economics? In normal profits, price is actually equal to the cost, right? So this is what happens when firms are making short-run abnormal profits. So new firms actually join, and because of which the supply curve shifts to the right. Hence, the firm starts making normal profits back again in the long run. Fine. So suppose you're understanding this point over here. Now let's suppose what happens when the firms are making short-run losses and when they actually want to see what happens in the long run. Now, what happens in the long run? Again, you have the same scenario. You have your demand and you have your supply, right? And this is the price which actually the firm is following, right? So this is the price. Average revenue is equal to the marginal revenue. So this is the price that the firm is following. This is my marginal cost. This is my average cost. And this is the quantity produced. This is the price. And this is my costs. And these are my losses which the firms are actually incurring. Now what happens is, since the firms are actually incurring losses, because of this, the existing firms are actually going to go away. So they're actually going to exit the industry. So since the firms are going to exit the industry, the supply is actually going to reduce. So the supply is actually going to reduce, and it's going to reduce till the new price actually equals the cost again. So this is the new supply curve, and now this becomes the new average revenue equal to the marginal revenue curve. Hence again at this point cost is equal to price, which means the firms are again making normal profits. It's similar to the previous one. In the previous one also, this actually became this actually became the new average revenue equal to the marginal revenue line, at which the cost was actually equal to the price, and the firms were making in some firms were making profits, normal profits in the long run. So what happens in the long run for the firm? So in the long run, this is what happens. This is the price, this is the quantity, this is the demand, this is the supply, and again this is the price, this is the quantity, and this is going to be my average revenue equal to the marginal revenue curve. This is going to be my marginal cost, right? And this is going to be my average cost. So that my at this quantity, my cost and my price are actually one and the same. Fine. So this is what happens in long run when there is a perfect competition, when there is a scenario of perfect competition, right? So that is actually very, very important here. So suppose you're understanding this point over here, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about productive and allocative efficiencies in perfect competition, right? So don't forget to watch that video. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. Don't forget to explore our website, that is perfect-scores.com. Lot of exciting stuff here, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, give us your valuable like, and also follow us on Twitter. And this would be our email address to give us your valuable feedback. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one.